Good evening, everyone. On a nice rainy Friday, I guess. Rainy Friday night. This is the solution breakdown, a Friday night version of the solution breakdown. My name is Mark Baker. Uh, we've got a couple topics to get into. First off, something really interesting. As you know, Miami Dolphins let go Mike McDaniel. Some people that was maybe a surprise because there was a little bit of speculation that he might have been able to stick around. But now that he's not, the first thing that came to my mind was that if you're a Detroit Lions team, 8-9, you dropped off primarily because of play calling. Primarily because that offense, which still had some juice, just was missing a little bit of extra juice. Just a little bit here and there. So, and also it's like, yeah, that division is fairly, I would say, fairly competitive. I don't think that there is a juggernaut in that division. Chicago has shown that they have been able to get turnovers, but turnovers are kind of they're a gift statistic. Is it a skill? Yeah, but is it expected that you're gonna now lead the league every year in turnovers? Probably not. I probably would not say that you're going to lead the league or even your own division or conference in turnovers every year. It's kind of like, if you can punch that ball out, and you can punch that ball out. It's kind of a gift. It's kind of a gift. The Eagles showing that definitely in the playoffs last year, and that definitely was a big contributor to the fact that they won the Super Bowl. So a lot of the Bears, they can't really stop anybody, and their offense can be iffy, but has been clutch for the most part. But I don't know if they're the best team, and even in that division, I think they've had a great season, and I think they have a bright future with Ben Johnson. But let's not pretend that Minnesota, Detroit, that they are far behind from that, and specifically with Detroit. Ben Johnson leaving was a big deal. You could tell with the offense. Now, Dan Campbell at times, you could tell that he had a little bit of scheme in him. He wasn't just, the moniker of the CEO head coach. He definitely had some juice. He definitely had a little bit of juice. But this is where it gets interesting. You have pretty much a dinosaur quarterback. In the age of Lamar, the age of Mahomes, of Josh Allen, Herbert, guys that can not only do it from the pocket but are mobile. I mean, he's one of, Goff is a quarterback that would have, that that we would consider what we would consider, as your standard franchise quarterback 15, 20 years ago. Now it's changed a little bit. However, Goff is very talented, and with the right coordinator, he has shown that, yeah. So now let me get back to the Miami Dolphins. They fire Mike McDaniel. If I'm the Lions, I'm calling Mike McDaniel. Look at what he's done with Tua. I mean, he's squeezed everything out of Tua. Now look at where he's at. Look at what his career is going to be now. I mean, he's likely not to. I mean, he's now a backup. Mike McDaniel squeezed everything out that he could out of him. It's just, I mean, where's the juice with Tua? His success was primarily because of that very fast and very clever system by Mike McDaniel. So if Detroit, your problem was defense under Kelvin Shepard was pretty good. Dan Campbell has shown that, guys rally around him. Guys want to play for him. He's well respected. He's an okay play caller, but with a guy like Goff, you can't just be an okay play caller. You've got to have juice. You got to have juice. When you have a Tua, when you have a Jared Goff, you got to have the juice. So I'm the Lions. I'm calling Mike McDaniel. And we'll see what happens on Sunday in Philly. Because if I'm Philly, I'm calling Mike McDaniel. Because he might not be a head coach anymore. This is not the same conversation as John Harbaugh or Kevin Stefanski. Because both of those guys, the top guys probably in the market right now, they're getting another head coach. They're going to get another head coaching gig. Mike McDaniel, not really. But in terms of an OC, he's probably the top choice. And for Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts, two guys that have shown the level of greatness that they can tap into. But they can do it only with the right coordinator. They're very coordinator dependent. So if I'm the Lions right now, it's kind of the McVay situation. Don't let him leave the building. If I'm the Eagles, yeah. Short of winning the Super Bowl, you're going to fire Petula. So, yeah. I think it should be really interesting. Really interesting. And I don't, and in terms of, John Harbaugh getting fired, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, this is probably maybe the best thing that can happen for an organization like the Ravens. Because ultimately, it's like they made a decision. We'd rather have, between you and Lamar, we're going with Lamar. But that's what sometimes well-functioning teams have to do. They have to make tough decisions. And they've built an infrastructure where they can make those tough decisions, and they can make them gracefully. Look at the difference between the Ravens and the Browns. The Browns are impulsive. The Browns are desperate. The Browns have an air of we know what's best. We know what's best this time. We might have fucked up in all other areas and all other decisions. Where do you even start? You can maybe start with Deshaun Watson, and you can keep going on and on. That's what the Cleveland Browns has been. And even, think about the Ravens. It's that they've made smart decisions. They don't try to outsmart the room. They don't try to, get cute with it. They keep it simple. What I would probably tell you is that what Baltimore probably is that you probably only have a couple more years of Lamar playing at a high level. This year was definitely an eye opener to the fact that, yeah, Lamar's getting up there in age. Yeah, he's getting up there in age. For sure. For sure he's getting up there in age. Uh and guys that are hyper athletic, they don't always age gracefully. I mean, look at Cam Newton. I mean, if you want to, compare apples to oranges, you go to the NBA, you look at Russell Westbrook. Guys necessarily don't age gracefully, are guys that are hyper athletic. So I imagine if you're Baltimore, it's that, hey, we need to be able to get everything we can out of Lamar. I mean, it's going to be a bit of an identity shift, but not necessarily, because this was Lamar's team, and that's what the Ravens said with this decision. This is Lamar's team, and we need to do everything to support Lamar, because that's our best chance to win a Super Bowl. Now, here's the counter argument to that, because I saw that John Harbaugh was what, 8-4 with a Super Bowl title under his belt, and it wasn't with Lamar. Lamar's been what, like 3-6 in the playoffs. So the counter argument is that, hell, the guy we fired won the Super Bowl. The guy we're keeping has been at times can be a bit pedestrian. And I think it's a little too early to say where is he going to go. The Giants job, now the Miami job. Because let's face it, the Cardinals, Raiders, Titans, Browns. Yeah. That's. I have no idea who the hell is going to take those jobs. And it wouldn't even surprise me if Harbaugh took a year off. I think Stefanski's going to get hired. And if I'm in the NFCs, I'd be worried if the Giants hire Stefanski. I'd be slightly worried. Because, one, the Browns hadn't been to the playoffs for almost 2 decades. Baker Mayfield was starting to be seen as a bust. Turned it around there. Got Joe Flacco to the playoffs. Like a 38-year-old Joe Flacco to the playoffs. I mean, this is what dysfunctional franchises do. They let go of their best coach. It's what the Jets did. What the Jets did last year. So if I'm the Giants, right? Like, this is the kind of guy you have to have. Because you're probably not going to draft a quarterback. It's not a strong quarterback class anyways. The Raiders are going to probably select Mendoza. I'm 95% sure that they're going to select Mendoza. And if they select Mendoza, well, you better bet your bottom dollar that, all right, Giants are going with Jackson Dart. You want to put Jackson Dart in the best position that you can get. I mean, listen, I didn't agree with the firing of Brian Daboll. But it doesn't sound like they're gonna hire Mike Kafka for the position. And I don't even know if there has been any reports about that. But if I'm the Giants, you have the Eagles in that division. You still have Dak, who's very functional, and like when he's under center, the Giants have shown that they can't beat Dak. And if you want to compete in that division, you gotta have the guy that knows how to work with quarterbacks. Jackson Dart has shown he's talented. So on the Giants, I'd go for Stefanski. 100%. 100%. Especially if you're not gonna, if there's no, you know, there's no John Elway or Andrew Luck kind of, you know, prospect waiting in the, in this year's draft. So you're gonna have to go with Jackson Dart. Why not give a coach that has shown that has been able to, I don't know, has been able to show that he can bring out the talent in like B plus quarterbacks. He brought Joe Flacco to the playoffs. Well, maybe he's a little older, but we always knew him as a B plus quarterback. Baker Mayfield. At the time, he was a B plus quarterback. Maybe he's a B plus now. I mean, Tampa Bay is a whole other story, but Kevin Stefanski was able to took a Baker Mayfield that seemed to really was trending downwards. Let's say it kindly. So, yeah. And I think after this weekend might give a little bit more clarity. Because what's going to happen with the Buffalo job? Is that going to open up? Let's say ostensibly that, okay, the Bills lose convincingly to Jacksonville. And listen, I think Buffalo has been a primarily a second half grinded out type of team. Grinding out wins in the second half. The run defense hasn't been great. Jacksonville can pack a punch. Jacksonville's got a haymaker. And I just don't know if you fall behind in this game in the first half. You don't want to play behind. It could get bad. It really could get weird. So, who knows? Would I suspect that McDermott gets fired? Probably not. I don't think he'll get fired. But maybe let's say Buffalo loses 45-27. That's a blowout. And that Buffalo job for John Harbaugh, maybe even a Kevin Stefanski. I mean, now that Buffalo job we thought for a second the Giants job was the best job out there. Now Miami opens up. Well, Miami. Maybe the Miami job. I mean, Miami's has seemingly a talented roster. Maybe quarterback position is of question. But Tua is serviceable. So I don't know. But I mean, if you're Buffalo, I mean, like, you're looking at a possible, like, hey, we could get bounced and it could be ugly, or hell. I mean, it would not surprise me either way with Buffalo. But I think Jacksonville's a lot better than I think we ever thought they would be. I remember after the Monday night game when they played Kansas City, I had believed, and a few others believed, that it was like, Jacksonville might have a cute season where they might compete for a wild card spot, but nobody. I was of the mindset, like, there was no way that they were gonna do this. There was no freaking way in hell that I thought they were gonna do this. There was no way in hell I thought they were gonna do that. I mean, they already showed they can go into Denver and whip Denver around. And we don't know how good New England is. And I think New England's on upset alert against the Chargers. The Chargers' weakness is offensive line, and New England's not known, at least this year, for a daunting pass rush. Let's get that out of the way. The Chargers' big weakness is not on alert here. So, and who knows? Maybe I'm entirely wrong, and New England's as good, and they'll represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Who knows? But until they do it, every week, even if they can beat the Chargers, because the Chargers have had a type of season that one would suggest, okay, this is a great job by coach, quarterback, a Harbaugh, Justin Herbert. Like, this is more of a season that would more tell you that, okay, we have the foundation here. We've got to maybe, like, we've got to maybe tinker around here and there. A couple guys have to get healthy, and we've got to be able to solidify the offensive line and maybe, ensure a couple guys can stay healthy. But we've got a good future here. And that's really what this Chargers season is about. I don't know if anyone believes the Chargers are going to go on and win the Super Bowl, or maybe even play for a conference title. So, I honestly, if New England pulls this week off, let's say best case scenario is that Pittsburgh beats Houston, which after this week I could believe that. Now you have Jacksonville going to New England. That could be interesting. So you have Jacksonville that already went to Denver and kicked the Broncos to the curb. I just don't see it from the Patriots. You're going to have to win 3 in a row against likely elite quarterback competition. I mean, I can't get it out of my head about what had happened. I mean, listen, like the Ravens, they beat the Ravens with Tyler Huntley, and it was close. I mean, for a second, I thought the Ravens were going to pull that out. Now you're going to have to play Justin Herbert, potentially Trevor Lawrence, and then Bo Nix and Sean Payton. That's your road to the Super Bowl. I just don't see it. When you're playing the Jets, when you're playing the Dolphins, it's a lot different than when you're playing Josh Allen. So, I listen. That's why I think that with Jacksonville, don't sleep on Jacksonville. It's very possible that they could represent the Super Bowl in the AFC. It's very possible. Very, very possible. And on the NFC side, man, Seattle's good. Seattle is pretty good. And, the Rams seem to have holes. Their special teams are pretty bad. Their secondary has been suspect this year. That was Seattle's best threat. And even look at San Francisco. I saw it like week 15. I think I saw a stat like week 14, week 15, that Myles Garrett, at the time, had 21 and a half sacks, had more sacks than the entire Niners defense up until that point. Now I imagine it's more, But yeah, Robert Saleh has done a good job with that Niners defense. But I've been saying this word a couple times, but I don't know if they have the juice. I think that this Philly 49er matchup, I think is fascinating to me. Is utterly fascinating to me. Because it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me at all. The Niners won. I mean, like, this is honestly, I really feel like this is a pick'em game. And I think it can get weird for either team. And I think it can get weird for Philly if they're down in the first half. Because they have shown that in the second half, their offense just, I mean, inept is the right word, I guess. Like, that offense has been inept in the second half of games. So if you're down early in the first half, like 13-7, let's say it's 13-7 Niners at the half. If I'm at the link, I'm getting really nervous. Now, if I'm the Niners, it can get weird. It can get weird if, let's say, the Eagles can establish a run game. It can get weird. Because the one advantage that the Niners have is their corners. That's why if you're like an A.J. Brown, you probably would have rather played the Rams. Because you would have cooked. You would have cooked. The Niners with Lenore. I don't know. But it can get weird for the Niners if Philly's able to run the ball. If Saquon has a signature game. It can get weird. It can get really weird. And I think really the only way the Niners can really, if the Niners have to play from behind, I don't think they can. Unlike Buffalo, I don't like, Buffalo playing from behind. Even though they're playing Jacksonville, who has shown that they offensively are loaded. You have Trevor Lawrence playing well. I mean, like, you still trust that, if Buffalo falls behind, if Buffalo is behind 21-10 at half, you would trust that, okay, Josh is gonna rally the troops and gonna bring us back into this game. That's not what the Niners are. And that's traditionally not what the Niners have been under Kyle Shanahan. They haven't been that way. I saw something like, when he's down +7 in the fourth quarter, he's like 1-30 or something. I don't know. Yeah, so it's, I think we could find out very early on. That game might be decided very early on. Very early on. Like, we could kind of get a sense of what kind of game. Now, something weird can happen. Someone can come of age. But I think generally speaking that what we're going to see on Sunday in the first hour and a half probably will decide. And I also saw that the Bears and Packers were about to pick them, and I think Green Bay as of right now is favored. I mean, like I was saying earlier, like the Bears have had a good season, but the Bears had trouble slowing down Malik Willis the last time they played. And Green Bay should have pulled that game out. I mean, now we have a couple weeks. It's that. Do I think Chicago has had this is a good start to the Ben Johnson era? It's a great start to it. Now, do I believe that they are the best team in the NFC? Probably not. Would I trust that Ben Johnson can maybe elevate Caleb Williams to the next level? Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. The Packers have had some injuries. I mean, I think somewhere the Packers were like 8. I think the Packers were like 8-4-1. They're 9-7-1. I mean, I also have a hard time believing that a team that's gone like 1-3 down the stretch. I have a really hard time believing that. Oh, yep, they're just fine. They're gonna come into Chicago. I mean, the thing with the Bears is that they couldn't beat the Packers. Now they've shown they can. Like, this isn't a good spot for Green Bay because the Bears have shown that we can now win. So now, do I believe the Bears are going to go on to win the Super Bowl? Probably not. Because let's say you win this game and Philly wins on Sunday. Well, you're going to have the Eagles come to Soldier Field. And it's going to be a bloodbath. And it's going to be one of those games of who's going to break first. Now, everyone would say, well, Jalen's going to break first. Well, I don't know. The Eagles have shown they can win the exact opposite of what wins in the NFL. When Jalen throws for under 200 yards, they have a winning record. So they could return to. They have shown they can return to. Let's get the hand out of the ball of the quarterback. Really churn up our running game. Now, they haven't done that consistently, and I wouldn't count on them on doing that. But, man, that defense is good. That defense is hella good. Defense is... I'm even though they lost to the Niners, I'd rather have, if I'm a Bears team, if you win on Sunday, have the Niners come. 100%. Well, actually, never mind. Actually, then yeah. I mean, you're kind of counting on if Carolina beats the Rams, and I don't see that happening. And listen, I think Canales is a good coach, but I don't think he stands a chance against the Rams. I think as Bryce Young has shown that, he's kind of I guess I would say he's more of a Gardner Minshew. He's much closer to Gardner Minshew than he is probably C.J. Stroud. And that's not an insult. He's been a great bridge quarterback. And the fact that they were able to make the playoffs, it's not like he had a breakout year. Still had a very iffy year. And they made the playoffs in 8-9. I think that's a great job by Canales. So, I mean, but if you're in that NFC, right, like, Seattle's the clear favorite. Seattle's if they ride to the Super Bowl, would it surprise anyone? Hell no. I think Denver's the same way. But I think we all question of like, with Bo Nix, with the Broncos offense, because the Chargers didn't really intend to win that game. They were more of like, we want to rest our starters. Like, we'll drop this game. Like, they have eyes a little bit farther ahead. The Broncos needed that game. And like, they needed like a pick six and, 3 or 4 field goals to wrap that thing up. That's a bit of a concern. Because you're gonna get someone's best shot. I mean, hell, I would want no part of a Houston team or a Chargers team coming to Mile High. I think you would hope that you play Pittsburgh. You would just hope that you play the Steelers. But even that, the Steelers defense is playing well. Rodgers have shown that he can provide a little bit of stability to the offense. Because even without DK Metcalf, he is shown to be efficient. So I don't know. But I think the one clear favorite, and the one team that we have in this entire bracket, I think, is Seattle. They go on to even win the Super Bowl. It would not surprise me. And it would be ultimately one of the greatest turnarounds we've ever seen from a player. Even last year, before he was in Minnesota, I was like, this guy's a bust. Like, I don't see it. Has a great year in Minnesota after an abysmal start with the Jets. A really kind of gut-wrenching in Carolina for the most part. Being a backup in San Francisco to Minnesota to where you're at now. You go on to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not only a great story, but it changes the entire narrative of the NFL. It's that was the draft pick a bust, or is it the organization? Because that's what we're already seeing. But I think if Sam Darnold goes on to win the Super Bowl, it's that can half the guys we say can't play are drafted by the Titans or the Cardinals? I don't know. It would definitely be fascinating. Nonetheless. But I'm looking forward to these playoff games. I'll tell you that much. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. And this is definitely a year where for a team like Buffalo, maybe a team like Jacksonville, Seattle, maybe the Niners. Because you got to understand that right now it seems like we're in a bit of a power vacuum right now. The Chiefs' dynasty seems to be over. The Eagles are probably not going to be a dynasty. They probably are not going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think their offense is just way too limited, and frankly, their business model is a little bit limiting as well. It's that it's the coordinator dependent, and who knows what the hell they're going to do with Sirianni after this year. They'll probably let go. If they lose on Sunday, they'll let go of Petula as well. But if you're like a Mike Vrabel and a Drake May, it's that, or even a McDermott and Josh Allen. This is a power vacuum right now. I mean, you have a chance to kind of steal a title before Kansas City puts itself back together. Before Baltimore puts itself back together. I mean, this is kind of the year. This is that vacuum year. Maybe Cincinnati, maybe Joe Burrow comes back and is in the playoff mix. And if it can stay healthy for 16, 17 weeks, So there isn't a clear favorite. This is going to be interesting. Who's going to take it? Because this is before we get the next dynasty, or before an old power starts to replenish, like a Kansas City. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited. I'm excited for next week. I'll give you the reaction. But make sure, most importantly, that you hit like and subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. We have a lot of great shows. So hit that button below. You know what to do. All right. But happy Friday night. Well, if you're watching this on a Saturday, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday. Hope you enjoy some football, eat some good food, and take care.